What's going on, everybody? Dr. Andrew here, and we're going to be talking about sensory processing disorder. I've actually got some fun little things to show you that'll help explain and make sense of all this. But we're going to talk about sensory processing disorder through the lens of one of our friends at Thrive, little Miss Eliya. So I want to tell you a little bit about her story, some of the changes that she's experienced with care, and then how that really makes sense, how that fits into the nervous system and chiropractic and adjustments and all of that. So let's explain. Let's get to know Miss Eliya. When we first met her, late last fall, about 3 months ago now, there were some major sensory challenges going on, specifically related to clothing. Clothing was a struggle all day, every day. It was affecting every aspect of this family's life, and parents were understandably pretty fried and exhausted with that. She wouldn't wear underwear, and honestly, she wouldn't wear much of anything. A leotard, like a gymnastics leotard, bathing suit sort of thing, was pretty much the only thing that she would tolerate. And that wasn't even super happily, it was just the best option that there was. So pretty much wearing a leotard all the time, maybe dresses or something like that over top, depending on the day, but it was a struggle. No underwear, socks, if we were gonna wear them, usually wasn't happening. If we were gonna wear them, it had to be pulled up really high, and just stuff bothered her. It was a big deal. So, because of all that, they're looking for answers, they're looking for help, and that led them to showing up at our Perfect Storm workshop that we had last fall. They had come across some of the things that Thrive is doing and that PX docs, within chiropractic at large are working on, and they said, hey, this makes sense with our family, this makes sense with our kid, let's learn more. So they show up at that Perfect Storm workshop, dig into why is this something that is going on with her and with kids in general, and it starts to make sense. The dots connect and they're like, okay, we've got to do something about this. We've got to take action. So we get Miss Eliya scanned. That's step one, right? We got to dig in and not just guess at what's going on, but actually measure and quantify and track that. So I got actually some of the recent scans. This wasn't the original one, but the old is on the left here and this new one is on the right. This one looks a lot like the first couple have as well. This is the more recent one, but the two before that, we found the same thing each time, and that is a really significant upper cervical subluxation. This top of the neck here, it is the air traffic control center. It is the biggest regulatory center. And if you look closely there, you see a bunch of red in that upper neck, right? We had some color, some stress, some major dysfunction. So, of course, in our eyes, we're going to be dealing with some symptoms with that, right? If we have this major dysfunction and dysregulation in the upper neck, it's going to lead to a lot of struggles with regulation and processing and just sensory input, right? We're going to have this constant bombardment to the brain where we're not going to be able to make sense of it. It's going to be constantly overstimulated. To give you a little bit of a different perspective on that, let me show you this gas versus brake balance, because what's happening when this takes place is that our gas pedal for our kids is totally ramped up and stuck on. Your gas pedal, think of it as your stress response, your fight or flight, your survival mode. When we are stuck in survival mode, the brake pedal, which is our growth and development, our rest and relaxation, our wellness, none of that really matters if we live in stress, if our body is experiencing the world as if it's in a state of survival. That's what we're seeing with that scan. Specifically in that upper neck area, that tension means that the body's brake pedal, really important nerve called the vagus nerve that comes out at the base of the skull, is stuck off. It's not working. It's not regulating all of this. It's not balancing the stress in life. And so we have this completely skewed response where we're only gas pedal and no brake. That makes sense when you think of these sort of sensory challenges, right? If her RPM ticker, if her baseline, her net set point that she's at is up here at a 7, 8, 9 out of 10, it doesn't take a whole lot to push her over the edge and to bother her even more, whether that's the clothing in her case. For a lot of kids, it's an emotional thing, right? It's an anxiety or a stress response, or it's a tantrum that happens. Parents tell us all the time that they don't have any wiggle room, right? It's like they go from 0 to 100 with nothing barely going wrong. What reality is taking place is not that 0 to 100, it's they're already primed. They're already at a 7, 8, 9 out of 10 at rest as their baseline. And so when we're at that all the time, it doesn't take a whole lot extra to push us over the top and hit that breaking point. So anyways, that's where we met her. Major upper cervical subluxation, which means we got to get to work. We got to have this intensive care plan to start to move the needle. We noticed little improvements and changes over this first couple of months, but it has been amazing over the last 3 to 4 weeks what started happening, because we got some more momentum going. We saw those major upper cervical subluxation patterns and stress patterns change, and now all of a sudden we have a whole new young lady. We're able to wear pretty much anything she wants to. The last couple of weeks, she comes in and she tells us, guess what's different about me? Guess what's different about me? What's different? What am I doing today? And it's always something new. We're wearing underwear now. We're not just wearing dresses and underwear, we're wearing jeans and pants. Not just socks, right? For a couple weeks, it was just socks, but they're still being pulled up high. They're still being messed with. She was bragging the other day of wearing ankle socks. So there's even more of a wider range of sensory stimulations that she's able to handle. And we could not be more excited for her and how well she's doing neurologically, internally, scan-wise, and just as much with life-wise, right? Having that improvement is what it's all about. So we've loved seeing that. We've loved celebrating with her. And then the last little thing I'll show you is probably my favorite one. This amazing little drawing that she made. Thank you, Dr. Andrew from Eliya. And you'll see, if you can really look closely there, the little Eliya person is thinking about an A. I think that's me. And then the A, Andrew, is thinking about Eliya. So we're besties. I've got the street cred and the photograph to prove it, and we just could not be happier with her. So I love that. I love her story, and honestly, we just want we want more of the same thing for every kid that's dealing with, whether it's those clothing sensory struggles or food sensory struggles or emotional regulation struggles, right? Do what her parents did. Join us at a Perfect Storm workshop. We've got the next one coming up here 2 weeks from today, March 14th, 7 o'clock. We're going to be right here at Thrive. We'll provide some snacks. I think we might even bust out some wine for you if you're on your best behavior. And we're going to share some hope, share some answers, and show some help about what we can do about these struggles. So join us March 14th. If your kid sounds like Eliya's, let's learn about what's going on. Let's do some scans, get to figure out where they're at, and get them on the healing journey too.